good day everyone. Thank you for joining for this discussion today. And today we are going to discuss a challenging issue in journalism. So let's imagine a Malaysian news portal receives leaked documents that are exposing possible corruption by a government official. However, these documents may fall under the Official Secret Act. So the question is, should the news be published or should it be withheld to comply with the law? Today we will explore two different perspectives, which are legal responsibility and also ethical responsibility. So Speaker A, what's your opinion or anything to share with us?
Thank you, moderator. So in my perspective, from a legal standpoint, I strongly believe that the news should not be published. The Official Secret Act clearly states that any classified government information cannot be disclosed without authorization. If journalists choose to publish such documents, they are directly violating the law. This can lead to serious consequences such as the heavy fines or even imprisonment. As professionals, journalists must operate within the legal boundaries. If we ignore the law, we risk damaging not only ourselves but also the reputation of entire news organization. Furthermore, if every journalist start publishing confidential documents freely, it may threaten the national stability and public order. Therefore, I believe the safest and most responsible action is not publish the news.
Alright, I understand legal risk, but I still believe that news should be published, as if the leaked document actually contains corruption, where this is a matter of fact that it could become a public interest, as journalism is not about following rules, as it should also be holding those of a power that is accountable, as this is why we call that this is what we call fourth estate. Even if we choose to remain silent simply because of the law, we may be protecting corruption instead of opposing it. The public actually has the right to actually know the truth, especially involved in misuse of power. In such situations, ethics should come before the law, because I strongly believe that without the truth and transparency, society cannot function properly. Therefore, I believe that publishing news is very justified.
So Speaker A, are you saying that we should always follow the law even if the truth is hidden?
Yes, because the law exists to maintain order. Without it, society will become unstable.
But if the law prevents us from exposing corruption, who will be protecting the public?
There are proper legal channels to report corruptions. Journalists should not take matters into their own hands.
In reality, those channels may not always work. Sometimes journalism is the only way to reveal the truth.
I think this situation is not as simple as choosing between publishing or non-publishing. It's a clear conflict between legal obligations and ethical responsibility. On one hand, Speaker A is right. The Official Secrets Act exists to protect sensitive government information, and violating it can bring serious legal consequences. This is something journalists cannot ignore. On the other hand, Speaker B also made a strong point. If the documents expose corruption, then it directly involves public interest. In that case, withholding the information may also be considered irresponsible. So instead of asking whether we should publish or not, perhaps the better question is how we publish. For example, the decisions could depend on factors such as the level of public harm, the credibility of the document, and the potential legal risk involved. In situations where the public's interest is very strong, limited disclosure may be justified. But if the legal risks outweigh the benefits, then withholding might be the more responsible choice. So, in my opinion, this is not a fixed answer, but a case-by-case decision.
A perfect example is the one in the case. The Auditor General's report was classified under the Official Secret Act. However, news portal still publish the leaked details and expose the missing funds of that case. But not only that, they also decided that it's the public rights to actually know the worth and the severity of the case.
Okay. True, but those legal risks is very real. Like for example, in 2012, there is classified documents that were leaked showing that the Ampang LRT extensions was awarded unfairly. So the The authorities took immediately actions, but the journalists must remember that the publishing official secrets can lead to prosecution and threaten their entire organization.
Exactly. In case like 1NDB, the public interest is very high, so taking legal risk might be justified. But at the same time, as mentioned, the consequences under the Official Secrets Act are serious. So I think a more practical approach is to balance both. So for example, by reporting the issue without revealing all the classified details. So in the end, this kind of decision really depend on the situations, especially the level of public interest and the legal risk involved.
In conclusion, this discussion highlights the dilemma faced by journalists between legal obligations and ethical responsibilities. The Official Secret Act protects confidential government information, but journalism also plays an important role in serving the public interest. So ultimately, the decision depends on how we balance the risk of breaking the law with the responsibility to reveal the truth. So thank you for today. Thank you, speaker A, B, and C. Thank you.